Shabbat Shalom. We're starting just a little late for two important reasons. We wanted to give you a couple extra minutes to anticipate Shabbat and our encounter with God this evening. No, actually, while we did give you that opportunity, we had some technical difficulties and have been unable to bring in our music team. So we won't have Shireen this evening. But we will still have this time together as an encounter with God where we can reach out and connect in sacred space, even though it may be virtual space, with one another. And in order to experience and encounter God this evening, as I suggested last weekend and suggested before, the key to all this is kavanah. And I used four terms to remind us of what's involved here. First of all, intention, an intention to worship God and encounter Him in this sacred space. Secondly, attention. We pay attention to the words that we're using as part of our services, the words that are found in the Siddur or the mini Siddur that came along with your invite for tonight. And then the next term was direction. We're directing our focus onto God as we go through this service. And then, of course, the last part is affection. We're expressing our gratitude as well as our affection to God for what He has done for us and that He's given us this opportunity. So with proper intention, with proper attention, with proper direction, and with proper affection, we're now ready to enter that sacred space and to participate in Shabbat. As has become our tradition, since we've gone into virtual Shabbats, I would like to begin with the prayer that we have used, a special prayer for this particular time, although adapted from some of our traditions and our holidays. The prayer goes like this, and I will say some of you have asked that we send along with the mini Siddur a copy of the prayer. Our intent was to have it for this week, but there was a certain rabbi who forgot all about it until just before Shabbat. So anyhow, we will still attempt to get that to you. With that being said, the prayer is this: May it be your will, O Lord my God, and God of my ancestors, that you abide among us, spread over us the shelter, the sukkah of your peace. As the eagle watches over its nest, so let your presence spread over our heads, surround us, and let the stream of life flow in your servants. O Lord, bestow on us your blessings, and to those who hunger and thirst, give bread and water. You've made us worthy to dwell under the cover of your wings. Deal graciously with us. Bechukotai Adonai la'olam. Blessed be the Lord forever. Another thing that has become part of our service at the beginning, I'm going to expand on, because thanks to Dr. Patrice, we have found a blessing for the mitzvah of putting on a mask. So I will say it for you, and then as you have the opportunity to wear a mask during the course of this particular season we are finding ourselves in, that you will be able to utilize it and remember an important part of that whole process. The blessing for the mitzvah of putting on a mask goes like this: Bechukotai Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu. All that you're familiar with. Here it is. Al shmirat hanefesh. Al shmirat hanefesh. Blessed are you, the Eternal One, our God. You're the sovereign of the world. You have sanctified us with your commandments and commanded us, here it is, to protect life. And given that, I will remind you of the phrase that's coming out of Israel for this particular time. Avarnu et paro na'avor gam etze. We got through Pharaoh, we'll get through this too. We'll get through this. We will, in fact, survive. And one of the reminders, the guarantees that we will survive, is the guarantee that God gave to us in and through Shabbat. And so it becomes an opportunity and a joyful occasion. So an opportunity and occasion to welcome Shabbat, to greet this special day, as one would greet a bride. In this case, the bride is also considered a queen, the queen, Shabbat. That's one of the verses for Lachadodi. I'm going to invite you to rise in just a moment, face the door to your home or apartment, and then physically welcome Shabbat. The other verse that's part of our Lachadodi celebration or welcome of Shabbat has to do with Jesse's son, one called the Bethlehemite, who is drawing near to bring us liberation. He's done it once, he will do it again. So as we welcome Shabbat, we rise, facing the door, we welcome the Queen's coming, and we anticipate the coming King. Please rise. Pages 14 to 25.
Bechadodi likrat kala, panei Shabbat mekabela. Bechadodi likrat kala, panei Shabbat mekabela. Lechadodi likrat kala, panei Shabbat nekabela. Lechadodi likrat kala, panei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki hem mekor habracha. Merosh mikadem nesucha, sof maaseh b'makshevat tchila. Lechadodi likrat kala, panei Shabbat nekabela. Lechadodi likrat kala, panei Shabbat nekabela. Idna ari me'afar kumi, livshei bigdei tifartechami. Al yad ben Yishai beit halachmi, karva el nafshi ge'ala. Lechadodi likrat kala, panei Shabbat nekabela. Lechadodi likrat kala, panei Shabbat nekabela. Come, my friend, meet the bride. Let's welcome the presence of the Sabbath. Let's go to meet the Sabbath, for she is the source of blessing from the beginning, anointed from ancient days, though made last, conceived first. Come, my friend, meet the bride. Let's welcome the presence of the Sabbath. Shake the dust off yourself. Rise, dress in garments of glory, my people. Jesse's son, the Bethlehemite, draws near, bringing us redemption. Come, my friend, meet the bride. Let's welcome the presence of the Sabbath.
Please be seated. The very next verse would have been, wake up, your light is come. And in fact, the light of Shabbat is coming now as we're about to light the Shabbat lights. And as we light the Shabbat lights, we remember that God has entered into a contract, a covenant with us to make us his people forever and to be our God permanently. Shabbat is crucial in our lives, therefore, both objectively, because of that reality I just explained, but subjectively as well, because it gives us the opportunity to enter into the peace, the shalom, that Shabbat should bring with it for us. And now we light the lights.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvoto v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us by your commandments and commanded us concerning the lighting of the Shabbat candles.
With the onset of Shabbat, another day of the counting of the Omer.
You want me to do the other blessing?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Thank you.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvoto v'tzivanu l'hiot or l'goyim, v'natan lanu Yeshua Meshechenu ha'or l'olam. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who sanctified us by your commandments and commanded us to be a light for the nations, and gave us Yeshua, our Messiah, the light of the world. Shabbat shalom.
I apologize, Jenny. I was too eager to get to the next day of the Omer, as I was trying to say. It brought me up to speed. Another day has come and gone. Another day of the counting of the Omer has come and gone, and it has come yet again. And as the second of the blessings over the Shabbat lights reminds us, and the counting of the Omer reinforces, there's a time coming ahead of eternal Shabbat. It's the Messianic age. The counting of the Omer looks forward to it, as does the blessing over the Shabbat lights.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvoto v'tzivanu al sefirat ha'omer. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us by your commandments and commanded us concerning the counting of the Omer. Hayom shiva ushloshim yom, shehem chamisha shavuot ushne yamim la'omer. Today is 37 days, which is 5 weeks and 2 days of the Omer. Rachaman hu yachazir lanu avodat beit hamikdash limkoma bimera v'yamenu. Amen. Selah. May the Merciful One restore unto us the service of the temple to its place speedily in our days. Amen. Selah.
Amen. Messianic days, the time when Jesse's son, the Bethlehemite, draws near yet again. He has already brought us liberation, having provided atonement for us. He now sits as the sages of old anticipated on one of those heavenly thrones, assuring our destiny forever. And we enter that particular scene where he sits enthroned as we come and we respond with Elohim Asher, pages 40 and 41.
Elohim asher diber mikadem pamim rabot uvirachim rabot el havot beyad hanevim diber aleinu behacharit hayamim ha'eleh Beyad haben asher som leoresh kol uviado gamasa et haolamim uzohar kevodo betzelem atzmuto Venose kol bivaro Rav Hagavura Ulachar she'asa Tihur chataim Yashav lemin Hagdula. In the past, God spoke to our fathers through the prophets at many times in various ways. But now, in the end of days, he has spoken to us by the Messiah, his Son, whom he appointed the heir of all things, and through whom he made the universe. The Son is the full radiance of God's glory and the flawless manifestation of his reality. He sustains all things by his powerful word. After he made atonement for sins, he sat down in the place of authority beside the majesty in heaven. True and firm, established and lasting, right and faithful, loved and treasured, desired and pleasant, feared and mighty, ordered and acceptable, good and beautiful is this word to us forever and ever.
The phrases there, desired and pleasant, loved and treasured, good and beautiful, remind us that we continue in that same theme as we express our gratitude to our God as we are in his presence and experiencing him. And one of the most beautiful forms of expressing that kind of gratitude to God is through the various forms of Kaddish. We've come to make Sephardi Kaddish our favorite, pages 156 and 157, because inherent within the words of Sephardi Kaddish is the anticipation, in fact, the prayer for the Messiah's coming, or as we understand it, his return. But Kaddish is also used as a reminder that even in times of grief and suffering, this is an opportunity to extend our gratitude to God, that he goes with us even through these times, as the prayer that we began with and as the reading from Israel that we shared with one another reminds us as well. It's tradition that as we remember lost loved ones, family, and friends, we not only respond to our God with Kaddish, but we stand as we do that. And since in our greater community, in our greater family, there have been people that have been lost, many, many, many people, I invite you to follow the tradition to stand now and respond to Jenny as she leads us in Sephardi Kaddish, pages 156 and 157. Please rise.
יתגדל ויתקדש שם ברבה, בעלמא דברי חירותי, ויעמק מלכותי, ויצמח פורקני, ויקרב משיחי. בחייכון וביומכון ובחייכו בית ישראל, בהגלו בזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם עולם מעולמיה יתברך. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם עולם מעולמיה יתברך. וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם וינשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודש בריחו. לאלה מן כל ברכתה, וישרתה תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמרם בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים טובים עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרמיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. Glorified and sanctified be his great name in the world, which is created according to his will. May he bring about the reign of his kingdom, and cause his salvation to sprout, and bring near his Messiah, in your lifetime and in your days, and in the life of all the house of Israel speedily, yes, soon, and let us say, Amen. May his great name be blessed forever and forever, eternally. Blessed and praised, glorified and exalted, extolled and honored, adored and lauded be the name of the Holy One, blessed be he, who is high above, far above all blessings and hymns, and praises and consolations which are spoken in the world, and say, Amen. May there be great peace from heaven, and good life for us and for all Israel, and let us say, Amen. He who makes peace in the heavenly realms, may he make peace for us and for all Israel, and let us all say, Amen.
As I mentioned to you last week, if a person arrives late and misses Kaddish, or if there is an insufficient number of people present to say Kaddish, then there are certain verses of scripture that become part of Kaddish. And just so I'm not misunderstood here, as the rabbis have discussed our meeting in virtual space, many, if not most, have concluded that it's perfectly acceptable to understand that we do form a minyan, even if that minyan is in virtual space. So this is not to say that we have done Kaddish inappropriately, but it is the opportunity, nevertheless, to remind ourselves of these wonderful verses. They are. Now, please, and as I read these verses, these are not like Kaddish or unlike Kaddish. These are not praises. These are actually requests that we make of God. From Numbers, now, please let the Lord's power be great, as you have said. From Ezekiel, I will make myself great and I will make myself holy, and I will be known among the nations, and they will know that I am the Lord. And then from the Psalms, may the name of the Lord be blessed from now until forever. You'll note that there's a text from each of the three parts of the Jewish scriptures, from the Torah, the Nevi'im, or the prophets, and from the Ketuvim, in this case, the Psalms. And what the worshiper does here, and what we have now done here, is also important to remember. We express our hopes for a new world in which God will be truly great and holy, and be understood to be exactly that. And so we're asking for God's greatness and holiness to merge more fully in our world. But we anticipate that to take place in the world to come, the time of the Messianic age. Because we realize that now we live in an era where we are lacking perhaps the fullness of the greatness of God, evidenced by the loss and the grief that we share. So this enables us to give voice for our desire for a renewed world, and one that is better in the future. And so it anticipates what we conclude our service with, and that's the Elenu. It's the time when things will be restored and the world will be perfected. All part of Kaddish. And now we are given the opportunity to face Jerusalem, the direction which is basically east. And we now affirm to our God that he is a God who watches over us. And we thank him for this, who watches over us at all times and in all places. And therefore we can say, as this paragraph of the Almidah, paragraph 6, pages 76 to 79 reminds us, his miracles are with us daily. As we place our lives into his hands, we remind ourselves that he responds with these daily miracles. Pages 76 to 79, use that to form your response, as well as to perhaps provide a springboard for further response and request to God this evening, this Shabbat. Pages 76 to 79 will guide us. So we thank you for you, O Lord our God, our ancestors' God, for all eternity. You are our rock, our shield that saves through every generation. And so we count on it for our generation and our time. We thank you and declare your praise for all your tender care. We trust our lives into your loving hand. We are always in your keeping. Your wonders and miracles are with us daily, evening, morning, and noon. O you who are all good, whose mercies never fail us. You are the compassionate one whose faithful love never ceases, and so we ever hope in you. And for these blessings, may your name be exalted, our King, forever and to all generations, including ours. And so all the living will thank and praise your name faithfully, because you are the God of rescue and liberation. Baruch atah Adonai, atov shimcha ulcha na'eh lehodot. Blessed are you, O Lord. Your name is good, and to you it is pleasant to give thanks. It's not only pleasant to give him thanks, it is an opportunity and an occasion to express our love for him because of his love for us, and therefore to make our commitment to him yet again, renewing our commitment to follow him fully because he is the Lord, our God. The Shema enables us to do that, so we turn to pages 34 and through 39 to respond in just that fashion.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vayed. Behavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord alone. Blessed be he whose glorious kingdom is eternal. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your life, and with all your strength. These commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up. Tie them as reminders on your hands and bind them on your foreheads. Write them on the door frames of your houses and on your gates.
You may be seated. And I invite you then to look at your bulletin and to read along with me the beginning lines of the Parsha, the portion for this week. And that portion begins in the following way. And I will read slowly enough so that you can read along with me. Vadaber Adonai El Moshe Behar Sinai Lamor Daber El Bnei Yisrael Ve'amarta Alehem Ki Tavo'u El Haaretz Asher Ani Noten Lechem V'shavta Haaretz Shabbat L'Adonai. I read a little more than I often do, but when I translate for you all, you'll understand why. Didn't want to leave you hanging halfway through. And it says, and the Lord spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai, saying, a quick thought before I continue here. We are finding ourselves near the end of the book of Leviticus, or Vayikra. And notice that he's still speaking from Mount Sinai. So the whole of this text of the Torah comes from there. Okay, so saying, speak to the children of Israel and tell them when you go to or come to the land which I am giving to you, the land will celebrate a Shabbat to the Lord. And so begins the instructions for the seventh year, where not only we celebrate a Shabbat, but the land itself gets a chance to rest. Text will go on to talk about after 7 of these kinds of land Shabbats, another day comes, Yoval, the Jubilee. Love to talk about that, but I won't. For a couple reasons, it'll come clear in just a minute. But I will promise you this, I will talk about that next week. And then I will be on my usual schedule, a week or two behind the Parsha. The reason for not doing this week is some of you are well aware of the fact that this past weekend we celebrated Mother's Day. Now, you may not be aware of the fact that in 2 weeks, there's a very interesting Haftarah passage, which is what I want to briefly summarize and focus on. And there's one other thing you will not be aware of, and that is last week, that Haftarah passage I briefly mentioned as a key part of the presentation related to the deity of the Messiah in the yeshiva course. So with all that by way of background and excuse, it's the story of a set of parents. But to set the stage for that, as the nation of Israel grows, if you read carefully, you will find that women in the Bible take important roles. Now, one of these women is the one that's mentioned in the Haftarah passage in 2 weeks. Her name, well, let's call her Eshet Manoah, the mother of one of our great Jewish heroes of the past, the one whom you might call the Jewish Hulk, or if that doesn't work for you, the Jewish Hercules. Character we know of as Samson. Now, Eshet Manoah simply means wife of Manoah. And the couple is introduced in Judges chapter 13. We're not told the woman's name. In fact, throughout the story, we're never told this woman's name. And from a distance, her story seems to follow the pattern familiar in the Torah. The childless couple is greeted by an angelic visitor who announces a miraculous or supernatural birth. And so this angelic visitor announces to Eshet Manoah that she will miraculously conceive. Quick aside, it's just part of the patterns of miraculous conception throughout the Jewish scriptures all the way through, whether it's a Sarah or a Rebecca or a Rachel or far later a Miriam. But anyhow, the story then ends with the birth of her son, the mighty Samson. But on closer inspection on this, what seems to be a very familiar story, you'll find that this story is anything but the predictable fulfillment of the familiar pattern. So let's begin with the angel that immediately calls to mind the 3 visitors who came to Abraham and Sarah and foretold that miraculous conception. But in pointed contrast, it is Eshet Manoah herself, not her husband, who receives the angelic visit. Now, following this exciting encounter, Eshet Manoah runs to tell her husband, and she says, "A man of God came to me. He looked like a divine angel, exceedingly awe-inspiring." And it's here that our story introduces one of the most surprising elements, but not if you're aware of what Scripture is saying and how it says it. Humor. Manoah comes off as, at best, dense. Think about this. On hearing the news of her divine encounter, Manoah pleads to God. And by the way, the word that's used here is the same as Isaac's plea on behalf of Rebekah to have a child. But anyhow, he pleads and he says, "Let the man of God whom you sent to us come again so that he may instruct us what we are told to do with the child." But think about this. in just the previous verse, his wife had already laid out the detailed instructions that the angel had already relayed. Was he not listening? Well, in any case, God does what he often does when we're not up to speed or up to par. He sends the angel back at Manoah's request, but hilariously enough, once again, only to his wife, Eshet Manoah. And so the text says, the divine angel came again to the woman. She was sitting in the field, and Manoah, her husband, was not with her. Well, Eshet Manoah then hurries to tell her husband, hoping that he'll get the chance to catch a glimpse of this divine visitor. But this time, the angel deigns to speak with Manoah, who still seems unaware that the visitor is divine. And so when Manoah asks for the angel's name, the angel refuses to answer. He says, "Why do you ask my name? My name is unknowable." Think about that for just a second. Someone who possesses the unknowable name. Well, in Jewish history and in our texts and our traditions, there is only one who has that unknowable name. Well, anyhow, Manoah's response is, "Why don't you stay for dinner?" I know that's not what the text says precisely, but if you read the text, that is what he's asking. And the angel refuses. In fact, he gruffly suggests that Manoah sacrifice to God instead, and as the ashes and the embers and the fire goes up from the sacrifice, the angel ascends along with it heavenward. Now, at this point, Manoah promptly panics that having come face to face with what he realizes was a divine being, he and his wife will die. Now, think about that for a second. Never mind that Eshet Manoah had already lived through an encounter with this very angel before. And then in a final moment of levity, a calm and cool Eshet Manoah reassures her distraught husband. And she says, "Had the Lord desired to kill us, he would not have accepted our burnt offering, nor would he have shown us all these things that we are to do for this child." He didn't get it. She certainly did. We know very little about Eshet Manoah, not even her name. Nevertheless, she emerges as the chief character in this brief, exciting narrative or story. Married to a man who doesn't seem to understand anything that's going on, Eshet Manoah displays the grace and the grit necessary to manage an extraordinary situation. Although she is rightly remembered as the mother of one of Israel's greatest heroes, it should not be lost that she is a hero in her own right. And in effect, Eshet Manoah has shown herself to be Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor or a great hero. And so, in honor of the ones whom we celebrated this past weekend as mothers who meant so much to us, so in honor of them, those who have been Eshet Chayil in our lives, we remind ourselves of yet another one in the scriptural text, who becomes a pattern for us, not only for the women, but for the men, as to how to respond to God. For the men, don't be so dense. For the women, keep responding to the encounters that God sends your way. Throughout this service and through most of our services, we've got a forward-looking emphasis in our services. And that forward-looking emphasis culminates, as I said earlier in the service, with the Aleinu. So we rise once again, facing east, the direction of Jerusalem. As we anticipate that time, we will move from this imperfect world to the one that God has perfected and restored to the way in which it was originally, John and Den. It's the time of the kingdom of David's greater son. Please rise and respond in pages 102 to 107 with the Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשינו כגוי הארצות, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, וזקינתו זו בגבי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והחשבותה אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. It is incumbent upon us to praise the Master of all, to exalt the Creator of the world, for he has made us distinct from the nations and unique among the families of the earth. Our destiny is not like theirs, our calling is our task. We bow down and acknowledge before the King of Kings that there is none like him. For he stretched forth the heavens like a tent and established the earth. Truly there is none like our Lord and King. As the Torah says, you shall know this day and reflect in your heart that it is the Lord who is God in the heavens above, and on the earth beneath there is none else. We hope, O Lord our God, to soon behold your majestic glory, when all abomination shall be removed, and all false gods shall be at an end. Then shall the world be perfected under the rule of the Lord Almighty, and all mankind shall call upon your name. For to you every knee must bow, and every tongue declare that you are God. Reign over us soon and forever. May the kingdom of David's greater Son be established forever. For then shall the words be fulfilled, the Lord shall be king forever, and the Lord shall be king over all the earth. On that day the Lord shall be one, and his name one. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated for just a few minutes. As it turned out, this week we had no new prayer requests, but there is a situation that I did learn about just 2 days ago that does deserve our prayer. And usually all we do is to name the people involved, but in this case I'll give you just a little detail. We have been praying for Rabbi Dr. Michael Schiffman. He said he is doing much, much better and feeling much, much better. However, he found out earlier this week that one of the people who was part of his Havurah group, a close friend of his, died. The same day, he was told by the ALF that his mother is housed in, that she has been diagnosed with COVID-19. So, for the family of the rabbi's close friend and for his mother, we place him into God's hands for his care and keeping, and knowing that he's the God who hears and answers prayer. and who comforts his people in times of distress. And as is our custom, and for this we're grateful to our good friend Rabbi Dr. Stuart Dowman, who's allowed us the use of this tune that he wrote. We respond with one of the traditional prayers or blessings that have been part of synagogue worship down through the ages and around the world. Shema Koleinu Eloheinu Kusvarakem Aleinu Vekabel Barakamin Tefilatenu Baruch Atah Shamea Tefillah. Hear our voice, Lord our God, spare us and have mercy on us. Receive in mercy and favor our prayer, because you are a God who hears prayer and supplication. Blessed are you, O Lord, you're the God who hears our prayers, and for this we're truly grateful. I mentioned this to you 2 weeks ago. I will mention it to you again, and that is that in just less than 2 weeks' time, Thursday the 28th of this month, the Union of Messianic Jewish Congregations, of which we are part, will be hosting a what we might call a traditional all-nighter for Shavuot, an all-night sort of study session. It will begin at 7 in the evening, Eastern time, and won't conclude until either 6 or 7 in the morning. And there'll be, each hour there'll be a different speaker that's involved, including our own Patrice. Mark that on your calendar, but more than that, in order to participate in it, you'll need to register. And if you go on the UMJC website, you will be able to register for that. The very next day is, of course, the first full day of Shavuot, and the following day is the second day of Shavuot. So that Friday night, 2 weeks from tonight, we'll incorporate some Shavuot additions to our Shabbat service as best as we can, doing this virtually. Normally, if you've been with us in Shavuot services before, we set the stage literally in a way that reinforces some of the emphasis of Shavuot. So we'll try to bring at least a little bit of that into our service in 2 weeks, so don't miss that. And then in the meantime, make sure you visit us again on YouTube next week. But in the meantime, please like us on YouTube, like us as well on Facebook, and don't forget, use those links that are found in the invitation, the email invitation. Whether it's the link, PayPal links, or the address, as you continue to join with us with your donations to keep this community and this congregation moving ahead through this time of crisis. And in the meantime, remember to reach out to those around, whether you reach out virtually, whether you reach out by way of an email or a text. Stay in touch. Stay connected. And now, please, stand once again as Jenny leads us in the blessings that God extends towards us and that we're ready to receive. And we accept those blessings by standing.
Our God and God of our fathers, bless us with a threefold blessing. Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu, Barachenu v'bracha hamashulashet. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav alecha v'yihunecha. Yisa Adonai panav alecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May the Lord bless you and watch over you. May the Lord cause the light of his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord turn his face toward you with favor, and may he grant you peace. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.